right, we've created a character. His name is Petey. And then because we've installed the plugins, which are in the documentation, we can do a make human exchange format. And we just, the thing to pay attention to is that we've said export these poses. That way we can get to the blend shapes. So to save a little bit of processor resources, we are going to close make human and open up Blender. I truly, truly do not like Blender as this piece of software. I know. I'm just letting you guys know my frustration. So when you open up Blender, you might have noticed that it always has a cube, a light, and a camera. If you go over here and delete all three of those, say save, and then defaults, save a startup file, it'll always be blank. So you don't have to keep on deleting the camera. I made my peace with some of these things with Blender. So now I have an empty scene, and I'm ready to bring in my character. So I'm going to import this make human exchange file format from my downloads. There's PD. And here's the part we always forget. We want to override the data, and this is where we grab the face shapes. Boom. We now have these blend shapes, and then we can add a rig here. The rigs are very limited in make human. There's a bunch more here. And I'm using the human IK because it's absolutely identical to the one from Fuse, and that's the way to make the documentation as simple as possible. It has bones for doing eye blend shapes later on. It's only two things I'm doing. Human IK, face shapes, it's in. I hit OK, right? Okay, there we go. And that's all we need a Blender for, is to add the rig and to get those blend shapes. So with that, I'm going to export FBX. And there's one change to make here, which is take off apply modifiers. This also threw me for a loop. If you apply modifiers, it blends, it bakes the blend shapes in and it deletes them. So you want to get rid of them. And that's it. So now my downloads, I have PD from Blender. And that's it. Ready to go. Let's open up a Maya. And you save it. Maya. All right, we just drag and drop it in. There's PD from Blender. And we're going to rename the blend shapes, or rename some of the groups, and then... Are you working? Are you thinking? And let me go ahead and get those Python scripts. So we're doing the make human version. So let's download that CSV. And these are the Python scripts. It has both Mac and Windows executables in here. In the meantime, did you load? No, let's go ahead and import PD. And then we'll see the blend shapes populate over there. Cool. Grant has a component where these are actually these weird spiral things are actually the bones and just resized. You can change it. I don't care. I'm not doing anything in here really. And so let's go ahead and change some of these names over here. I'm going to go back to documentation. So for make human, we need to rename each of these the name of the mesh, like this, blend shape underscore mesh. Alright, so blend shape, I'm going to do camel case. Copy that so it's my clipboard. Copy. And then we don't need any of that stuff. So blend shape body. Blend shape eyebrow. Blend shape eyelashes. And blend shape teeth. Alright, and then there's a couple that we need to merge because they're not they're merged inside of the AR kit. So mouth narrow, there we go, they're only on the body. Take both of these, merge them, and call them mouth pucker. So we're manually doing what the script is doing for these. Put it back to 0, so it doesn't export as animation. And there's one more. And we have cheek balloon. Cheek puff. Bring it back down, and then I see this now. I've never seen this before. Brow squeeze to brow enter up. I'm not sure. That should be part of the script. It's not a thing. Underscore. So you see it's at two different places, so hopefully they merge. Cool. And it's ready to go for the Python stuff. Let me bring it back down. All right, save as an ASCII file. It's already ASCII. And let's put it in my root of my D drive. And we'll call this PD. Pete. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and clear him out of my myosine just to make sure there's no conflicts. And let's go and take the make human file, throw it into PD, and the Python scripts. And we don't need the sh file. That's the one you run on Mac. Command prompt as an administrator. Get on my D drive. Change directory to Pete. And then run me. It's basically what it's doing is it's downloading a whole bunch of different libraries, and we wanted to automate the process of doing the libraries before we could do the rename. And so it says, you've already done that, you've already done that, you've already done that, because I've already run the script a couple times. It's installing wonderful packages like NumPy and 6 and Python Datutil and Pythas and Pandas. I don't even know what Pandas does. I'm sure we can make 2 scripts the first time you run it, and every time from then on out. It has to definitely load it, but I don't know if you need to download it.
You can always host this on like a Colab or a Google Cloud browser. Because sometimes when you're downloading all this stuff, it could if your hard drive super clogged or something. So they do for like Deezer Splitter, you have to download like Pandas and like a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was gonna send you an email about that actually.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, include Kat if you have her email, because she's the one who's handling this. She wants to make a drag and drop interface for it. She's been wonderful to contribute this to the project. It was only just an idea only a month ago. I wonder if I can. All right, so let's wait and see. Oh, I'm looking for brow squeeze. Let's get rid of brow squeeze. Hey. Hello. There it is. Everything looks great. And even has some texture, so maybe we won't have texture issues. In Maya, when you hover over the viewport, 4 is wireframe, 5 is unshaded, and 6 is shaded. So it looks like it is missing some texture. So we're not going to worry about that for today, but we can always grab them from the Blender export. So just save this, export all as FBX. Some things to look at: smoothing groups. That's a thing that Unreal always says, hey, you didn't use smoothing groups. Well, it's because it's saying you didn't use Maya. So we're exporting new smoothing groups. You want animation so you can access the blend shapes. And then if it does have, this is something I wasn't doing earlier, say embed the media, and that makes sure that if there is any textures, it will try to include those. So this is now Pete Anim, Pete with the animated blend shapes ready to go. Cool. So 11 minutes. That's how long it takes. I'm going to bring it into Face AR, and we'll do asset for PD. Bring him in. PD anim. And the thing to remember is to come down here and import morph targets. I also like to avoid the error of not using frame 1 for some reason for the base pose. So click this as well. It tells you how to fix that when the warning happens. And it's ready to go. So if I had a custom level that I had already migrated over to this project, so you could already tell that there's no textures that are imported, so it's missing all the textures. If that's important, I can try to fix it later, but I want to kind of rush to the virtual camera thing so we have time to do everything. PD has the things, and it looks like it only duplicated one of them. So that's the wrinkle shape. So it's still TBD whether or not this is crazy. All right, so PD, we are going to put you into an animation blueprint. You can do that right here, or you can right-click on the skeleton and say create anim blueprint from there. ABP Pete. live link. I'm not going to worry about hooking up face tracking right now, but if my phone had already been tried to connect, it would be right there. If not, I can always find the phone from this live link node. Live link is done through Windows, and there it is, live link. If you're starting a project from scratch, which we haven't done, you would have to go to plugins, look for built-in plugins, and actually install live link. Right there, it would ask you to restart afterwards. Great. And if I were to use this map and throw them in there, it would work because this map already has the code to start an AR session to receive the data. We're going to go to a new map real quick. Let's say I'd made a map. Save file, new. I made this map. Go to my little blueprints. On event begin play, when we start the AR session. It works. Great. This one's called map face. And then I bring in the animation blueprint. Whoa, Petey. Too big for his britches there. Let's see. And Petey's ready to go. So that's the whole workflow for the face thing. Now, this will work because I have my blueprint, the level blueprint that has the starting the AR session, and that it also has my character. This map has everything I need for doing facial motion capture. So I can find this map. Sorry. I can find this map by filtering by levels, and I see that I have Mappy McMap face. Right click, and if I migrate this, it migrates everything I need for face capture. Let's see. It has the face AR blueprint or data type. It has my map, and it has my character with my blueprint. That's all I need. Hit OK, and I'm going to find the project I just opened up, just installed, which was the virtual camera. It's saying find a destination content folder. I found it. Et voila. And I don't need this anymore. We've moved on to virtual camera. It should now be here. And there's Petey, waiting for us to do animation. This is the virtual camera map. This guy's name is Twin Blast. And this is Grux. The virtual camera map is these two in what's called an idle pose. Right? They're just doing this number.
Is that the pillow noise?
Anyway, and so I have many times put somebody in live mocap in between and be like, guys, no, we can solve it. It's not worth it. So to get face working now, we need to make sure that that ARKit face is turned on. So to complete this the end of this cycle is we have to do two things. We have to install two plugins to make this all work. ARKit face supported. Just go ahead and do both of those. And then by default on this project, live link is not turned on. Live link. So 3 plugins: ARKit face, live link. They're all built into the engine. They're just turned off because Unreal's trying to it knows it's such a bloated piece of software. It doesn't want to have everything turned on all the time. I am going to go to my handy dandy router. And I'm going to look for what am I looking for? A command prompt to find my IP config. And this is my number, 192.168.1.218. This router is a Netgear. Let me put this one on there. I think I'm just so you know, almost every single router in the world is 192.168.1.1, and almost every single router is admin and password. You can get into anyone's network ever. No one ever changes it. And it's going to tell me the name just so I know. And I can check to see if there's a password. Yeah, I know, not on the internet. Yes, I know. Oh, so I have no security. Great. On purpose. I don't want to have to use a password. And it's called Netgear 93. Okay, Netgear 93. Connected. I couldn't get my screen sharing thing to work with this this iPad earlier, but I'm not doing much. And it will be mirrored to the screen in a second. We are going to open up the app. It's just going to ask me for my IP address. That's all I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this 192.168.1. Was it 218? Connect. And then I need to play in a new window, okay? Play it in a new window right here. This is essentially a VR headset that's in the world. It's using ARKit to track the floor. Oops, I lost the floor a little bit. Of course, the character's going to be like behind me. I think that I can actually reset where
You see it on the screen.
so you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing on the iPad. Let's see if it resets it so this is the center. Damn it. So they're going to be behind me. Over here. There they are. Cool. So you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing, right? And it's using ARKit. And what's great about this, it's got everything a camera would have built into it. So I could do like a razor thin focus. I can get really zoomed in there to his face.
Awesome.
Right, 200 millimeter lens. I can see his face, and then there's a little button here on the side, and I can choose what I'm focusing on. So I'm focusing on the background, and I can focus on him.
Regular cameras don't have that yet. Also.
It doesn't, so that's all great, right? So I have this whole camera has all these properties here, and then like shaky hands. The world's worst camera person. What's good when we get over the mocap system is it has smoothing on there, so it's like automatic steady cam. Right now we're doing ARKit, but we will use the OptiTrack system for tracking, right? And this, I'm sorry, it's because my computer is so like bogged down right now. Doesn't look beautiful, but you really can tell this depth of field is working. Now, what's also cool about this is that this blue button on the bottom lets you choose waypoints. You can like save locations that you want to come back to, some vantage points. And then the other thing that's cool about this is that the left red button is record. So on my iPad, I hit record, and then my computer is recording the scene happening. My live face, my live body, my camera stuff is all being recorded and put into what's called the Unreal Sequencer, which we haven't really discussed. So I'm going to exit out of this real quick. And let's go over to a new window we haven't looked at yet called Take Recorder. And this is my scene, and I say I want to record, I want good old Grux, I want good old Twin Blast. Let's record those things. I'm not going to record everything, just the things I want to keyframe. And then the camera's by default, so the camera just will show up. And then eventually, microphone audio. So we'll record your lavalier mic, we'll record anything that's animated, anything that we're driving with motion capture, all our rigid bodies. We just say, these are the things I want you put into a timeline. This is actually the look of sequencer right here. Sorry, this is the timeline. It's opened up by going to sequencer. Or you can create a level sequencer here, but it's going to do it automatically. I come here to the new window. It's going to reconnect eventually. I said eventually. There we go. So I'm so zoomed in I can't see anything. Let me zoom back out. There's a lot of features on this, and there's a lot of documentation. I'll post that to the weekly channel if you want to get. Oh, it looks like it got thrown somewhere. I don't know what this is about. The AR kit is not as reliable. Maybe it's because I couldn't find the floor to start off. Let me just face it forward first.
It's consciousless floor.
This is an issue when you use OptiTrack. That's gonna be crazy. Whatever. Crazy's gonna craze. I'm going to hit the record button. It is now recording my live mocap. Everything is being keyframed in there. You can do your entire performance in one take, and when you hit stop, you have a VR piece just waiting for you. You put a VR headset on, and you're there inside of the middle of a play. I was able to do an entire production with my undergrads in one class session when I tried this out in the fall. Super amazing. This is virtual production. It's a super amazing tool. I hit stop. It's recorded. And then when we get more into sequencer, we'll learn how to edit this later on. But essentially now it's ready for the next take. Right there, scene 1, take 2. Obviously I can give better names and descriptions, be saved there. In my content browser, let's create a folder called Cinematics. Takes. Time to date stamped it. Double click it. And here's my scene. Let's put this somewhere else for a second. So now, that was the performance that happened, right? It's also showing the scene that's currently waiting and idle. But this is, I can now edit the scene from before. I can lock it in. There was my camera move. So you kind of have like a 2D movie, but it's not. It's actually a 3-dimensional scene that you can still edit, and you still can edit all the keyframes. So this is the idea of kind of like virtual production working backwards, so having the scenes, having everything, and then you can go back and refine it. Now I can put these things in Maya. Now I can bounce back. I can change my textures. I can refine my performances in Motion Builder, and then re-import them. So it's a completely different mindset of just playing in the final world, and that's why I want you guys not to worry about building worlds from scratch. Let's location scout, find the things already there, find characters already around, and create a production from that. And then, which we'll get into later on. I don't want to burden you guys too much with sequencer because it's a huge thing. But every one of these different assets is its own sequence of things that I can edit. I can change the animation. I can change the speed. I can attach things. I can move it around, right? So this happened like this, but I might want to change the location of the character slightly, and I want to move it somewhere. Right, I could go in here and edit this keyframe. You don't use VR at all. You can't use the VR headset as a virtual camera just yet. I don't think, because it has this whole interface on it, and that'll get in your way. But you can always just drop a camera in the center that will be your VR headset. You can relive the entire experience. We can get into that a little bit later. I didn't bring a headset for today, but we can totally bring that around.
So is it capturing in 360?
It's capturing in 3D. So now people ask me, how do you export video from sequencer and stuff? Now, I really want to get rid of these other characters real quick. Let's see what is keeping them around. Just want to see the one take. It wasn't doing this before. Those are the ones being spawned. Maybe I can just hide them, just not look at them. There you go. So there's my scene. Now I go back up to top level, lock in my camera, and then there's this little clapper. I can now export this to a movie. PNG sequence or video file. I think it's AVI in Windows and a QuickTime on a Mac. People who like to do video edit, you could choose your resolution. The resolution can go up to 4K easily. And then one other thing. You can burn in time code. What I wanted to... Anyway, and then you can render it all to a movie. So hopefully this is the way we could do it this time. Custom render pass? There's also a way... Does anyone familiar with the term EDL? An edit decision list?
Oh god, it's like an XML or an AAF or...
It's a human readable XML file that you can actually then import. If you do a bunch of takes and a bunch of different cameras and stuff, it actually imports directly into Premiere. And so you can do an entire multi-camera thing, and then it loads it, does the render, and it puts it into Premiere. I haven't actually even done that before because this is a deep, deep topic getting into sequencer. We're just going to start talking about it a little bit.
Yeah. I'm still going to have to wrap my head around that, so... You're not sending the videos out, though. You're sending a feed.
You will be sending out all the videos. It'll render all the videos out in the clips, and then it'll bring it all into Premiere.
So you can cut it.
Yeah.
In Premiere. Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
So a couple of things really quickly that I have on my list before we go over is
Television, working in a studio with a three-camera system.
yeah, we're doing everything in here. Let me go back to
That makes sense.
the interface here to show you a couple things. Sorry, I'm going to stop this real quick. Because I have sequencer open, it's showing the previous sequence as well. I'm going to close sequencer so that it's just my live characters. There we go. Now they're not doubled over. It's worth pointing out that when it connects, up in the top right, there's a ton of different settings. For like it has built-in stabilization and rotation. You can lock different things so it can only be on certain axes and all that kind of stuff. So just play around with these. The most important one for us is that right now our input source is the AR kit, and then when we go over to the mocap studio, we're going to be live link.
Got it.
Okay.
Because you're feeding this inside on the
So we're going to basically get a rigid body to be a skeletal mesh in the OptiTrack plugin of Motion Builder. So Motive is going to take rigid body, stream it to Motion Builder. Motion Builder is going to then live link it to Unreal. And the one important thing to note is that it has to be a specific name. And I'll show it to you when you go over there. Or I can even show it to you in remoting in. Unless somebody's there and I'm about to freak them out.
I think you have it booked.
Yeah, but people still show up. It doesn't matter. I don't have a rigid body set up to stream anyway. I could see if there's a recording of one. I should have already made one. I told Grant to be ready. But I won't bother him. He's done for the day. Let's see if there's one real quick. We were chatting so much, I didn't even touch on lighting. I just realized. Let's go into takes. Yeah, we got some rigid bodies there. Let's see. Nope. You could probably we could turn a person into a rigid body. That would be interesting. Let's try it. We're going off the rails. What dance are you doing? We're gonna make a dunk of camera. All right. This is perfect. All right, we're streaming it out. We're going back over to Corsair, and we're going to use Motion Builder. We've already gone over the plugins and all that kind of stuff, so that's fine. Then I need to do 2 devices. I need a device for OptiTrack Skeleton and for Unreal Live Link. Did I miss? I think I flung it too far. There you go. OptiTrack Skeleton is going to be online, live, and we're going to create skeleton. Boom. Then I can go over to the Unreal Live Link, and I'm going to choose from the scene this is totally abstract. I'm going to choose the head as my camera. Alright. Add it in. So now the head is my camera. I shall not want. And if we haven't really talked about the game modes, but in general, this is being the reason why this virtual plugin works is because in our project settings, if you go to maps and modes, oh no, it's not. If we go over to this world outliner, I showed this to a couple people. World settings. It's using this game mode of virtual cameras, right? Which is like all it does is load in a bunch of different kinds of assets. It's not really important, but let's show my engine. Show plugin. Basically, the important thing here is I want to show you that if you do live link, it needs to be called this C_VCam, or whatever you change that to be needs to be matching in Motion Builder. So there's on, and then I would change this to CVCam, and now it's just ready to go in Unreal, and it will track from the OptiTrack system. This is now his head is now sending data to Unreal. Virtual camera. That computer is so nice. Look how quickly that opens up. So what I'm going to have now is I'm going to have a charging station in the room, and back next to computers I'm going to have both these back there charging, so you guys can get in there and do either thing you need to do. Let's change the default setting. Wait, where'd Joel go? To not be ARKit, but make the default be live link. If this works, it'd be a miracle. New editor window. Too good to be true. What step am I missing? Oh, Motion Builder needs to be running in the background. Always refresh. I thought I got you. I probably have to have the iPad over there. Now let's do a live link. By the way, you can click on this without having an iPad. Didn't know that. I know what the problem is. Give me 1 second. It's looking for the live link, which is a There we go. There's the virtual camera. And now he's dunking as a camera. The bone's on its side needs to be rotated, but anyone want to get real sick? So that's a little abstract, but it would be great to have like a little cat cam, right? Like a rigid body cat running around. It could be a little camera in your scene. I don't know of any documentation about how to do this process, so this is the only one I know. This is how you do how we're going to do the camera work for the class, and we're going to have a tripod or a shoulder mount cam with this on here, and then we'll have a little Velcro tape, and it'll be a rigid body, and we can do all our stuff like this. Trying to keep our hands from holding it so that we can play with the settings. Cool. And just so we're not dropping the whole idea of the fact that I have, and we're going to go over there and play with it. Just so I'm not wasting everyone's time when it came to introducing the idea of lighting the characters. If we go into a new scene real quick, is it completely dark? Put a cube in the world. Make it big. And then add our character in there. You guys remember Petey? Here he is, hanging out all tall and stuff. 90 degrees. And let's make him a little bit shorter. So right now there's 0 lights in this world, and if I hit play, nothing's happening because there's no lights in the world. Once we add in our first light, there we go. So the 2 lights we're talking about, was the most important ones are point lights, which it doesn't matter which way it's rotated, right? It is a point light. It's positional only. It has an attenuation. The fall off, right? It starts off here, and then it gets all the way dark by the edge there. The properties is called inverse square law of natural lighting. And the light has intensity. Let's make a little slower camera. Intensity. So we can make it how bright it is. And what color it is, right? These are your gels. And the only other thing I really get into is maybe how big the radius is, how much ground it covers, and whether or not you want it to have shadows. Shadows add to processing. That's really important for VR. We're not doing actual VR pieces per se, so you can have as much dynamic shadows and lights as you want. And there's 3 properties: static, stationary, movable. Movable is a dynamic light. It takes the most processing power, but you can have movable things, movable shadows. It does the most stuff. Stationary is less processor intensive. It can't move, but it can flicker. It can change its intensity. A baked light or static light cannot move and it cannot change whatsoever. You might have seen lighting needs to be rebuilt, right? Lighting needs to be rebuilt, meaning that you need to. What happens is it goes through. It compiles an idea of where all the photons are coming from the light and bounces off, and it bakes it into the texture of the assets. Therefore, if you have a box and I have a light coming here and it bakes the shadow right here, if I then move that shadow is still there. It's baked. It's becoming part of the texture, which means it has no processing, and you have as many baked lights as you want to a scene, because it has to go through this process of baking. If I hold on Alt, I can have 2. So, in film parlance, what kind of light would this be? Behind and slightly to the side?
That's your key. Your hair light.
So this is a little fill light. It adds a little bit of a rim light, so you
Rim
can
light,
see.
that's one we
Yeah,
want.
so it adds a little bit of that. This is like your key light. This is the one in the front that's a primary source of lighting.
Key, fill, highlight.
So a 3-point lighting is a traditional camera setup. This one, so you can see your person. Just like we want to frame things kind of off center, you usually want to light off center as well. It makes people's eyes travel across the frame. And then there's also fun stuff to play with the fact that, well, if they're a cool dude, you want to make it a little cool of a light, right?
If it's a Michael Bay film or
If it's-
greens, it's feeling's gonna be orange.
Why is every movie orange and blue? Why is every movie orange and blue? Why is every movie orange and blue? Because it's dynamic contrasting light. It's all cinema is orange and fucking blue except for The Matrix, which is green.
It's the epic look.
It makes everything epic. So you have a blue light here. You do an orange light in the background.
You know, it's like really more like teal.
I like the teal better. But the really funny thing is that they're on opposite sides of the color wheel. It's white in the center, so it's there's blending that's really interesting. So usually want to use contrasting colors as you do these different keys and fills and whatever. Where would the other? So this is a rim light.
Yeah.
The first one's a key light. Then the fill light. Where would that one go? Is that to
The
this?
fill sometimes like a bounce. The fill.
It's
like,
off to the side.
Yeah, it's off to the side. It's not as strong.
It's just so that you don't have harsh shadows, right?
Yeah, and it's so you can You want to make sure that your
Bring it
actor
down.
is like one stop over normal exposure because it makes them look prettier.
And there you put the rim right there. So these are just some ideas to play around with. Obviously, you now have a harshness on the head, and this can fill in there. You can have tons of these lights. It's just something to think about.
How accurate is it when it's not playing?
It's not playing right now.
Yeah, I know, but like how accurate is the reference of the preview?
This is Unreal. It's all real time, even though not rendering.
Okay, that's right.
It'll look exactly the same.
Okay, that's all right. That's all I need.
Yeah. So this is a little virtual set that you guys can get up to, and then have your T-pose, and then you get to do your stuff. So I really want to talk about that, and then usually we'll have one directional light that will be our fill light, and that is the lights. That's this one. Let's bring down the intensity just a little bit to like 1.
Which one's that? Oh,
So this one, it doesn't matter where it is, it's only about the rotation. Because it has no limits of where it can reach, you usually only use like one of these, right? Maybe 2 if you want to have a bright sun and then a little bit from the bottom. So this one, I usually leave them pretty neutral unless it needs to be a light source. So that, again, it doesn't matter where it is. I could put it below the ground. It doesn't matter. Spotlights are spotlights. You get the idea of a cone, right, coming down. The other thing that's cool is a skylight, which just basically, if I have a sky, it pulls in the color of the sky.
Oh, that's cool.
So this one, it doesn't add much because I don't have a sky in here.
It's like super diffused.
But I could have a BP. I can look for a sky sphere. Engine sky.
So if you were trying to like recreate moonlight, you would use a directional.
If you're trying to do moonlight, you could do, but you would like do midnight blue as a color, and you would do a directional. Yeah.
Pro tip: if like you're lighting, especially in this kind of environment, you can totally see it. It's really easy to throw in a lot of lights because like to try to get a look you're going for, but sometimes when you turn, so I find this on set, when you turn a couple of them off, you'll suddenly like find that you might have already built it and you didn't realize it. So just know that that's a thing. Putting up too many lights and going, where's that shadow coming from? I just want to get rid of that shadow. And then you realize, oh, okay, I added too many lights.
Really quickly, I want
It's a
to.
bad thing to do. I'm not a gaffer.
It's not gonna give me an error, is it? Oh well. Trying to make an error happen. Anyway, this gets us started with the idea. So let's kind of take a break, go over, and I'll let you guys just play with the virtual camera for now, and then we'll have next week to tie together all the mocap stuff, and we can play with all the toys when we go over there. Cool? Let me look at my list real quick and see if there's anything quick I can throw in. That's all fine. If we take this, they're all... Okay, so if you have them stationary, you get this warning like this. This means there's too many lights that are overlapping, and it's like, I can't figure this out. This is too much for me to figure out. You either need to move them to movable. If you're not doing VR, that's the best way to go. Or you need to go to static. And again, to build your lights, you say the light quality, high production value, and then you build lighting only. This will then open up this wonderful idea of a swarm agent. And then you get to watch the process of emitting photons and collecting photons and processing mappings and all sorts of stuff as it builds my light. And this is, one more second. If I come back over to my meshes, cube, I'm not going to have the time for this. So these guys are all casting shadows. Let's put in, where's that directional light? There's some sort of global setting that I can't figure out. That's fine. This gets us started. And we'll come back and talk about lights later on. But I want to go over the mocap studio so we can have fun. Okay, finally it's telling me to build my lighting. Let's collect those photons one more time. Anyway, so now it's going to look nice. You can't build lighting on skeletons. It's always because they're always moving. All right, so I'm going to save this. And let's go play with the virtual camera. Or we can just do dunking and continue to be a camera. Alright, you guys go ahead and start your break. And we'll mosey on over to the mocap studio. Everyone has access to it.